Good Monday morning. Well, if you haven't noticed yet by all of the red hearts hanging around the grocery store, it is officially the week of Valentine's Day. And for many of us, this can just conjure up as much anxiety as any other holiday imaginable. Women are desperate to be seen and noticed and showered and loved, and men are trying to figure out what in the world is going to express that. So, just a little pressure on a holiday like this, but it makes me curious, does it have to be that way? I remember a few years back, Philly and I were watching one of our favorite shows, The Biggest Loser, and I think one of the reasons we love it so much is because it really is the reclaiming your heart message. You watch these people who are shut down under the symptom of food addiction, which is really just a heart issue because any symptom ultimately is a heart issue. And so often we focus on treating symptoms when God is really asking us to look at our heart. And I remember one of the things they have in that show is temptation challenges. And this particular temptation was for Valentine's Day, and there was any kind of chocolate you can imagine set up in that room. And so they were supposed to come into the room and try to avoid not eating, resist the temptation, if you will. And I remember one of the girls came in and she survived the temptation. I think it was 3 or 4 minutes they had to stay in the room. And when she went to leave, she said, "I hate Valentine's Day anyway. February 15th is my favorite day." And something about those words just really stuck with me because I remember in my first marriage, Valentine's Day was often met with a lot of pain and disappointment. And I remember after my divorce, my very first Valentine's Day, I began to ask the Lord to reframe this day for me so that it was no longer identified by pain. And what I felt like the Lord invited me to do was to get out of the I need or give me mentality and instead give. And so how could I love people and give to people at Valentine's Day? So I really got excited about this, and I went and bought cards, all these cards for my friends, and I wrote Valentine love notes to my friends and told them how much I loved them and how grateful I was for them, and that Valentine's was a day to remind people of how much they were loved. And I got excited about Valentine's Day because the Lord allowed me to reframe it. So I grabbed two of my friends. We went to my favorite restaurant. We ate bukus and had a big old honking dessert. More friends came into the restaurant. We sat with them for quite a while, and we just enjoyed this wonderful Valentine's. And it was like the Lord just redeemed all of this ridiculous cultural expectation and showed me the beauty of giving love away. But why wouldn't he? Because that's his message to us. 1 Corinthians 13, love never gives up. Love cares more for others than for self. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut. It doesn't have a swelled head. It doesn't force itself on others. It isn't always me first. It doesn't fly off the handle. It doesn't keep score of the sins of others. It doesn't revel when others grovel. It takes pleasure in the flowering of truth. It puts up with anything. It trusts God always. It always looks for the best. It never looks back, but it keeps going to the end. Love never dies. We don't see things clearly. We're squinting in a fog, peering through a mist, but it won't be long before the weather clears and the sun shines bright. But for right now, until that completeness, we have 3 things to do to lead us toward that consummation. Trust steadily in God, hope unswervingly, love extravagantly, and the best of these 3 is love. But why wouldn't it be? Because the very first passage of Scripture that we learn in Sunday school is John 3:16. This is how much God loved the world. He gave his son. He gave his son because of love. His one and only son. And this is why. So that no one would need be destroyed by believing in him. Anyone can have a whole and lasting life. Friends, God has called us to living with a whole heart, to living in a whole way. And one of those ways is by giving love away. So this year for Valentine's, what if you got curious about ways to give love away? To not be worried about it meeting some movie type expectation that no one can ever live up to, and you take all the expectation out of it and you just give love. I am doing that for Mr. Philly Jones. I planned our dinner. I booked our show. I even called him and told him what I wanted for a gift. So I even picked out my gift. He just has no pressure. And do you know what? I loved him in that gift. And my heart was free in giving it. Friends, we can give love in this beautiful Valentine's season because God gave us love in such an extravagant measure when He gave us His one and only Son.